Johnsburg, June 18th, 2019, regular meeting of the President and Board of Trustees to order at 7:01. On the roll, Trustee Foreman, Trustee McAvoy, Trustee Curry, Trustee Hagan, Trustee Frost, Trustee Clemstein, and for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
From the floor, gentlemen. Nothing? Empty. Okay. Moving right along here. Motion to approve the omnibus agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Curry, seconded by
I'll second.
Trustee Hagan. Discussion on the motion. Discussion on the motion. Anybody want to pull anything? With there being none, Trustee Clemstein.
Aye.
Trustee Frost.
Aye.
Trustee Hagan.
Aye.
Trustee Curry. Trustee McAvoy. Trustee Foreman.
Aye.
Motion carried. We're going to move the President's report behind the budget presentation, and we're going to do the budget presentation right now. So we're not yawning on that presentation. I know Tim will keep it interesting, but anyways. Mr. Clemstein.
I heard I was supposed to talk very fast tonight, so.
Just
joking. No, I don't think, I will slow it down, so.
Just talk normally.
Yeah, I'm trying to slow down, I'm having some caffeine here too, so. Kim's gonna be putting this together,
You're not running a race, sir.
We're no memento.
We're good. First of all, I would like to thank Kim, Claudette, and the Finance Committee for putting this together, the presentation tonight. So, we have about 37 slides we'll go through. We'll take questions at any time. If you guys want to stop us or ask any questions, please do. And also at the end of the presentation, we'll have time to go through the presentation as well too. So, Kim's going to bring it up and we'll start.
I'll do the clicker.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're going to do FY 2019 results. First thing is FY 2019 major accomplishments. Ed and Claudette did a wonderful job with the state of the village. A lot of things were brought up at that meeting last Wednesday. But real quick on the slide, the land acquisition sales, obviously the public safety building sale. We had that done. Oops.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, Kim. I get my own copy. All right. Parkland donated. Parks facility improvements. Running Bush Farms that Tom Smith took care of. Sled Hill back here. Sunnyside Park electrical improvements. Both launched Pure Extension. Golf course improvement. David T. Dominguez municipal facility planning. Roadway and subdivision improvements. We had 3.5 miles patched and/or resurfaced. We streetscape enhancements. Economic development. We did the visit in McHenry County. Did website enhancements. Bush School development proposal. And actually, we know what's happening with that as well too now. Impact fee suspension, code amendments. We have business districts, traffic control, liquor licensing, and building permit fees. Next slide. Okay, I'll turn this over to Kim to talk through some of the financials.
So this presentation is pretty much a mirror image of last year. So we're going to go through 2019 actuals. We're going to go into the 2020 budget. And then we're going to have some kind of statistical information for you, like we always do. So this is the general fund revenue for fiscal year 2019. And you can see that the operating revenue was just about $41,000 less than budgeted. And you remember the bridge closure, and so that impacted our sales tax last year. And then in that area of interest in miscellaneous and grants, interest was really positive this year. So that kind of piece in banking is coming back. But grants and miscellaneous were lower than we expected. The miscellaneous was primarily, if you recall, we were going to sell a 5-yard truck, and that didn't happen last year, and so that's happening this year, so that's why you see part of that discrepancy there. And then in the transfer from CIP, You guys know we moved the cold storage building to fiscal year '20, so we didn't pull revenue in to cover the cold storage building. So generally, we were about $41,000 lower than we anticipated. On the expenditure side, so expenditures, I'll direct your attention to total operating expense. Expenditures were about $181,000 higher than we anticipated for all of the reasons that I've listed on the left. So, in the admin department, it was legal and engineering. You know how much snow we had this year. We bought more road salt, we had more overtime, we had more fuel, so that impacted the public works department. Overtime and fuel also impacted the police department. Parks and buildings had higher than anticipated expenditures. Sled Hill is an example, but that was covered by some park funds and some capital improvement money. So you can see roadways and subdivisions there. Sales tax reimbursement, that was higher than we anticipated. The board did approve the economic incentive agreement for Angelo's, and that's in there. We were able to fulfill our transfer to the police pension that we wanted to do. We were also able to fulfill our reserve target of $75,000. So this was the first year we budgeted for that, and we were successful in achieving that. In the motor fuel tax fund, so Greg mentioned earlier, 3.5 miles of roadway, motor fuel tax fund covered a portion of that. The water and sewer fund revenue was a bit higher than we anticipated. Their expenses were a bit lower. Water and sewer fund revenue was helped out by some additional water and sewer connection fees, as well as interest and more user fees. The land and building fund, you can see we had a surplus in that fund, and that was because we did the first close on the police department building. So that money just kind of goes and sits in the fund balance there. Golf course fund expenditures were higher than we anticipated, and that, has to do with demolition of the building, the electrical work that we did over there, all of those things. Those things were covered by a loan from the capital improvement plan. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future slides. Any questions on fiscal 19 actual? So as we move into the 2020 budget, so this is just general fund, revenue on the left, expense on the right. So you see our total operating revenue is about $4.5 million, total operating expenses is about $3 million. So the revenue over here on the operating side is about $116,000 higher than it was in fiscal 2019. So the increases are coming primarily in the area of income tax, also sales tax. We've got discount tire built in here. We know that's going to be coming soon. Let's see what else is higher there. Fees and licenses are higher on the revenue side. That includes the business registration fee that we instituted this year, as well as a full year of the increases in the building permit fees. On the revenue side, also, you see the $196,000 for the sidewalk grant that we were awarded. And then on the operating side for expenses, our expenses are just under $3 million, and that's going to be about $99,000 higher than last year. And it's lower than the actual, but higher than the budget. So it's kind of realigning those places where road salt was higher and overtime was higher and things like that. So those things are kind of being realigned in that operating expense. And then we are increasing our transfer to police pension. We are having the $75,000 go toward the reserve. We have our debt retirement as we usually do. We have the sales tax reimbursement as well. At the end of fiscal year 2019, our sales tax reimbursement to Walmart was 74% complete. So we're getting close to the end of that agreement. Capital improvements, land and building, obviously we have the expense for the sidewalk project for total expense of $5.1 million. I went past roads and subdivision, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the slide. Okay, so we have the motor fuel tax fund at the top. So we have revenue coming in of about $160,000. I listed road maintenance there. The motor fuel tax fund in the coming year, we're changing things up a little bit in that fund. So typically, we would be using all of that for some type of road resurfacing. So this year, what we're going to do is we're going to use a portion of that money for road salt and road striping. The township does our road striping, so we pay them for that. So in exchange, those things came out of the general fund, okay? So we're able to more efficiently use the dollars in the general fund for road patching and things like that. So instead of having the money in two different places like this, and having a project here and a project here, we put what we could in the general fund by taking out some things like road salt. In the water and sewer fund, so the user fees are increased per the rates that were approved by the board recently. So our revenue is higher on that side. And then what that allowed us to do was increase our transfer to the capital improvement plan. So we're still not funding 100% of what we'd like to be funding in the water sewer capital improvement plan, but this has helped us increase that amount. So in the land and building fund, basically this has been the same the last couple of years. We're just paying loan payments out of this for the 2 lots that we bought by the fire department and out here. But what we will have this year is the second close on the police department, and all that's left on that is that $10,000. So that $10,000 will come in and it'll go and sit in the fund balance. Golf course fund, so you would see we have golf facility revenue coming in. That's from the agreement with Golf Visions. We have debt retirement going out on the expense side. Now, I mentioned to you that in fiscal year 2019, we took a loan from the capital improvement plan in order to fund some of those improvements at the golf course. Not all of those projects were complete at the end of fiscal 19, so we have some continuation here. So we have another $65,000 coming out of the capital improvement plan to fund golf course improvements. Now, when we get to the capital improvement plan, you'll see that we have a plan to repay the capital improvement plan for those golf course improvements. Okay, so that's kind of a quick summary of 2020. Any questions before I turn it back to Greg?
Thanks, Kevin. Oh, Tom, go ahead.
No.
Sure.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, thanks, Kevin. There's more to come. So, all right, FY 2020 major projects, so you kind of see this is what we're planning. Downtown sidewalk project, that's a little over $195,000. Public Works cold storage building, we're pushing that forward from 19 into 2020 for $115,000. The municipality, what we're going to be doing here for design plans, we met with the architect on the boat launch that Kevin's working on. Rescue Squad park lighting, that's $70,000. We have some donated funds that Kim broke out there for you guys on the slide. Economic development, we're giving $15,000 to that. Street name signage program that Kyle's group is D&G is doing at $12,000 of the general fund. The PACE shelter pads, whenever they're ready, we've allocated $10,000 out of that. Road resurfacing and patching, $149,000, almost $150,000. Parks, facilities, vehicles, and equipment, again, $30,000 as planned with the cargo van that we're doing. And then the public safety vehicle and equipment for a little under $38,000 for the patrol vehicles and other equipment that we do every year for the rotation of the vehicles. Next slide. Okay, so every year we try to include what's called a SWOT. It's a strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis. So we're going to go through in the next page here and kind of show you guys all that. So on the strength side, in the upper left-hand corner, increasing contributions to police pension. Every year we're trying to put a little bit more to catch up to that. We'll talk more about that in future slides. Building general fund reserve. the PACE program, the road resurfacing guidance. We'll be talking more about that too as well in future slides coming up here. Our debt ratio, and also we're getting our well-rated credit rating. On the weakness side, going down below on the lower left-hand side, growing pension liabilities. Obviously, when the state changed things, we obviously have to catch up faster to do that. Another weakness is road maintenance needs. Obviously, we're always trying to catch up to the roads needs and funds. General fund reserves and the water sewer capital reserve, obviously, as we get more users and everything on to help water and sewer, today it's still a weakness because we need more of that to help out. Opportunities, we have a ton. That's the upper right-hand corner. So opportunities for retail establishments as the Route 31 corridor, downtown Johnsburg now has obviously the active adult community coming in. We'll have some sewer and water maybe. There may be opportunities with that. Partnership with private road residents. We're probably living on the river, other private roads we have, would they turn those over and or do that. Grants we're also looking for. Claudette was able to get with the sidewalk grant. Sewer connections as more communities want to get hooked up to sewers. We're also looking to do that too. Completion of economic incentive agreements. So obviously we're having Walmart coming up and other ones we've done. That'll free up some of our budget as we gain that sales tax income. Or also pension reform, looking at some of that too. So a lot of opportunities will come and possibly will be threats too, is what's happening downstate with what's happening with some of the new proposals with that. Graduate income tax proposal, we put that on there. It's going to help us eventually because we will get that coming downstream. So what they proposed. Also they need debt retirement. We have some debt that's going to be retiring soon in the next few years. Threats, we have state revenue reductions. Again, talking about downstate, we don't know of all the changes that are coming in, so these are potential threats. Retail establishments leaving. Obviously, as we see Amazon and some other stronger online presence, is that going to hurt some of our retail presence and some of our bigger retailers in town? Increasing costs, gas, oil, infrastructure, anything else we're going to see, possibly with inflation. We could see stagflation or anything else happening as well that could cause some threats with that too. Thanks, Ken. I'll turn this back to Ken then for the police funding.
So every year we talk about the police pension funded status partially having to do with the state of affairs in the state, right?
Right.
What is the status of our funding? How do we compare to other people? So this is a new slide this year. I just wanted you to see that as of April 30th, 2018, the state average funded ratio for pension funds, this is just police pension funds, was 55%. So Johnsburg sat at 51% at that time. We also like to look at our peer group, the kind of local municipalities that we compare ourselves to, and that peer group was 48.5%. So every year we talk about this being a threat, it being a weakness, but it's a threat and a weakness for everyone, not just us. That's the point I wanted to make there. So how are we doing with our pension funding? So we've been chasing this number called the actuarial recommended contribution. Chasing. It's growing, and we're trying to keep up, right? So with our 10-year projection, we will catch up in 2022. So with what we know right now and what we project our funding needs to be, we anticipate that we'll get there and close that gap in 2022. So you can see we've been narrowing the gap, and we're getting there, and we have a good solid plan for that future. Now, we've been hit before by police pension funding with things that happen at the state level. IML's #1 legislative priority right now is pension reform. So I really, really hope that they do something very positive so that these pension funds can become more well-funded. So these slides are pretty much the same from last year, but I just wanted to remind us all that our method for evaluating and rating our roads is the PACER system. And these are all the benefits of that system. We went through this heavily last year, so I'm going to just kind of click through it. But what is the purpose? We want to have a formal structure for addressing the needs of our roads. So that's what we're getting from this program. This was our summary from last year. What are our collector and arterial miles? What are our local roads? What's been accepted? What has not been accepted? What is our rating? This is the rating system that we use. It's on the right side. This is kind of a further breakdown of what is the status of the roads when we rate them 1 to 10. So the 3s and 4s, right, the 3s were rated poor, the 4s were rated fair. So we addressed 3.5 miles of those in fiscal year 2019. So now we're on to the 4s and 5s, right? We're moving in the right direction, taking care of those roads. Effective maintenance to minimize reconstruction, yes, we're familiar with that. So what are we recommending in 2020? So we're going to continue to address the local roads rated 4 to 5. We got those 3s taken care of. Previous slide said, you address the 4s in 3 to 7 years, you address the 5s in the next 7 to 10 plus years. So we're going to continue to address those roads. This analysis is looked at every year. Like winter was just heck this year, right? So these guys go out and they look at the roads again and they're like, what's going on? Do we need to change any ratings? Do we need to change the schedule? What do we need to do? So we look at it every year. We're going to continue to address those roads. We're going to continue to support funding for right-of-way and roadway maintenance. That pretty much is the same from last year. So what it comes down to and what we say about using the money in the general fund more efficiently is doing more major patching projects rather than this year it's that particular subdivision and all those roads. The focus this year is to get some of those major patching projects done on some of our major roadways. And some of those will be contracted out with an agency, right? And some of the kind of minor patching projects will be handled in-house, the ones that our guys can do. So, more work on that as you guys go through and address the roads and figure out how exactly you want to do that in-house or contracted. Any questions before I go into capital improvement plan? Okay. Let me catch up. Hold on. All right, so this is the general fund capital improvement plan. And you've seen this chart before. So what is our balance at the end of fiscal year 2019? It's about $618,000. I talked to you about the golf course improvements. That's the amount that has been borrowed from the capital improvement plan as of the end of fiscal year 2019. Just to the right of that, you see planned transfers to the CIP reserve. So we're planning on transferring $15,000 back to the capital improvement plan to start repaying that $68,000. Now, we have to recognize that we're going to spend more money at the golf course, so that's going to happen. So potentially at the end of fiscal year 2020, the golf course fund will owe the capital improvement plan about $118,000, okay? So, but the estimated balance overall is going to be about $627,000 with the transfers to the reserve and then the planned projects that we're going to do. This is the water sewer fund capital improvement plan. So as I said, we're putting $86,000 toward that reserve this year, and I'm pleased about that. So our balance is going to get up nearing $600,000 by the end of fiscal year 2020. All right, long-term projections. You guys have seen this before. I'm sorry it looks kind of yucky on the screen, but we like to show you a view of the unreconciled general fund. And what that means is, if we were putting the amount toward roads that ideally we would like to, if we were putting the amount toward police pension ideally that we would want to, this is the difference. So in fiscal year 2020, if we had another $221,000, we would put more toward roads and we would fund the full actuarially recommended contribution for the police pension fund. So the negatives that you see there relate to those two line items. Now, when we get over into the years 2022 through 2028, you see a line near the bottom that looks kind of yellow that says Water, Sewer, CIP, Other Projects. So as debt becomes paid off, as the sales tax reimbursement agreement becomes completed, those funds become available. So that $199,000 there down at the bottom, we could use that $214,000 toward that. So it looks ugly, but in the next couple of years, you all are going to have some options and some decisions to make about how you want to allocate those funds. All right, so this is a prettier picture. So this is the reconciled general fund. So like I said, the difference between the last one and this one is here's what we can do for the pension fund. Here's what we can do for the road. Here's what we can do given the revenues that we have, right? Some other things that I just want to bring your attention to are, let's see. So transfer to land and building. Everything kind of in gray is like things that are ending, right? So you see debt retirement falls off in the year 2028. So those are the water sewer bonds that we're currently paying. So in 2028, yes, we'll have debt probably for municipal facility, but at that time, unless we take on some other projects or something, we won't have debt for our water sewer bonds, okay? Let's see. So the sales tax reimbursement is estimated to be complete in the year 2022. The debt, so debt for the municipal facility, we all know we haven't decided what that dollar amount is. We don't know what we're going to have to finance for that project just yet. We're estimating $2 million right now, but it could be less than that, given, if we have the money from the sale of the police department. So we don't know how much we're going to finance, but we've assumed that we may have like a $50,000 interest payment in the year 2021 toward that municipal facility. And then we'll have debt, principal and interest carrying forward from there. Let's see, so what else did I want to point out in here? So police pension fund, you can see that increase between the years 2021 and 2022. That's when we hit our estimated target of the actuarially recommended contribution. Let's see, and once again, there's that line toward the bottom that says other, you guys will decide how you want to do that. Okay, so statistics, we like statistics, right? So I always like to show the history of this is just the general fund and this is just operating revenues and expenditures. So as I pointed out in the previous slide, 2019 got a little close, 2020, we're expanding that out again a little bit. So this is a revenue chart, again, just the general fund. And it's just a visual representation of what is our largest source of revenue. So there you have it, sales tax, followed by income and use and real estate. Expense, what is our largest expense? So again, it's just a visual representation of, how the whole pie is split up. Real estate tax rate. So we always take a look at how does Johnsburg compare to other municipalities. So Johnsburg this year, when I updated the numbers, stayed in the same position, like, near the bottom. But I added this average thing. So the average of all of those property taxes is 72 cents per $100 of assessed value. Johnsburg sits at 40 cents per $100 of assessed value. So I think we all should be very proud of that. Sales tax rate, we update this one every year. The only thing that has changed since the last year is McHenry's rate is going up to 7 3/4 effective July 1st. Building permit, I always fill all these numbers in, but I really pay attention to the through April 30th. Just to see, like we're partway through the year, how's it going? It's looking pretty steady.
Sure.
And this slide we always keep in there. These are our goals and priorities, all of us together. Fiscal sustainability, hometown with spirit, all of those things. You guys know what they are. So that's the slides.
Good job, Kim.
Thanks.
Thanks, Warren.
Thank you.
You too, Greg. Other than, if you could learn to talk a little slower, we'd be okay.
Hey, was that me or was that Greg?
No,
That's you,
that's
Kim.
Greg.
Oh.
He's had
Kim,
that
you
worked
did
out.
great. Okay, questions?
Golf course improvements, what do we plan on doing?
Well, golf course improvements are a lot of things that were one-time deals.
Sure.
Okay, so we won't be doing that all the time. We'll be closing up that gap, you know?
Right.
And as that gap closes up, so does our revenue increases every year.
Right, looks like we had a great year.
Yeah. So, I think we're in really, really, really good shape. There's nothing there that I don't think we didn't anticipate or expect.
Right.
You know? So that, I think we're in fine shape on the golf course. It's not like we got increased taxes. We're borrowing our own money and paying it back. So I think we'll be fine on the
Right.
golf course.
Okay.
And then Kim touched on building permits there at the end. Did you say we're on pace with? Okay.
Yeah, we'd like to see growth there, right? But we're steady.
Another question, I noticed the 18-19 original budget for police salary overtime was 88,000, but we spent 150,000. What do you think the big climb was that got us way up there?
We had 2 officers for one thing, right? We replaced 2 that we were down.
Yeah, staff shortages, so obviously we have to use those, you know, right, so we hired two patrolmen at 1 year salaries, right? But during that time when we were missing those 2 new officers, we're paying 7-year officers overtime, a time and a half rate, you know, probably double what we would have paid if we would have just had those officers here.
Okay.
So we kind of see that, you know, every time we lose 1 officer,
Sure.
we lost 2, right?
Yep.
So now we replace 2.
That should correct itself a little bit also.
For sure. And again, we've had this discussion in the past, and I'll just say it again, it's cheaper to pay the overtime with the number of officers that we have than it is, because we would need to add approximately 3 to 4 officers to try and offset those overtime hours, and that's gonna be $400,000 between salary and benefits.
And
pension,
pension, yeah.
And pension,
Pension.
right, because those overtime hours are non-pensionable hours. So there's no new liability. The officers' pensions are only always based on the 2080 hours a year, 2,000 hours a year. So if they work 3,000 hours, their pension's still only paying 2,000, or they're still earning only 2,000.
And that's not that much different than what it's been in the past. I mean,
We have high years. 1 year we lost 3 officers or replaced 3 officers, so that year was a large year also. That was 2012, I think, where that's when we actually went to the 12-hour shift temporarily, and the officers liked it, so then we stayed. So,
Thank you.
Do we have any estimates as to how much we're gonna get in e-commerce sales tax yet?
And what?
E-commerce sales tax, online sales tax?
We don't.
State put some out, right, Kim?
They did.
Yeah, IML said something
A
today,
percentage
I
we
think
get
it
for
was.
Still like a fraction of a percent.
It is.
Like per person too, right, Kim? They're not gonna be able to do it exactly by how much we would do by zip code or something?
It's gonna be a real job tracking that.
It's coming in as a use tax,
Right.
so it's really an unknown. It's not like a per capita thing or anything like that. So, I mean, when it first came through, we knew it was gonna be minimal. It has not increased.
Good question. Hey, Kim, of our sales tax, how much is Walmart of the sales tax revenue we bring in percentage-wise?
About 850,000,
And what's the total of the sales tax we bring in yearly?
1.8 million.
Okay.
Are you talking with the rebate or without the rebate? What do we bring, what do we keep now?
Yeah, well, we'll eventually get it. Just how much of the money they're bringing, of our total sales tax is Walmart bringing in?
Do we know what J.C. Penney is of that total?
We know what all that stuff is now. We
Yeah.
never
We
used to
just
be
did-
able,
if
we used to be in
there's a-
categories, but now it's broken out.
If there's a threat, I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Going back to the building permits for a second, So our requested budget is up from 21,000, 22,000. Is that, are we thinking because of Bush? Or are we anticipating something new in the building?
Are you in the expense line item? Which line are you on?
This is, page. Yeah, 114,
Okay, so that's the revenue that's coming in for the building permit. So, and that just reflects a full year of the increase in the fees. There is an offsetting expense for that as well. So they're just about the same. You see the expense side over in Department 1050, and then you see the revenue here.
With the storage building in Public Works, is that's gonna get our stuff out of District 12's?
Yes. Everything, it's gonna get anything that we have outside, inside, and also remove our stuff from District 12's building. Since the house out there has not been occupied anymore, and they don't rent it out, it's just a lot of vandalism going out there. We've been fairly fortunate they haven't touched anything in the storage building, but if they would start knocking windows or something out of six-wheelers, it could be fairly expensive. Plus, from a logistics, operational standpoint, it's good to have it all.
Right.
Yep.
The special projects purchases, last year we were at 24,000, we budgeted 70, only came in 24, we're in budget 103. What do we see going up? Bringing it up to 103,000 for 19.
Some of that's probably a carryover. I'm not sure, I didn't look at that, but some of that would probably be a carryover, right, of stuff we didn't do this year.
We have page 14 and 14.
You're on the capital improvement plan?
Yeah, general fund.
General fund, you're probably in 1056, are you looking at the details?
Yes,
Is that what you're looking
186,
at?
yeah.
Okay. So, so if we go back to the FY20 projects page.
That's the set aside.
Set aside.
That's the set aside of what you're putting, that's the money you're putting
Yeah,
in.
that's the money
not-
that's going into the
Yeah.
capital improvement plan.
It's not projects.
Okay.
It's what you're setting aside. for
Gotcha.
future
If there is
projects.
something that would go
Yeah.
for capital improvements, right?
Right.
So last year's road maintenance, looks like we did really good. What did we do, 3.5 miles? We're not calming it down a little bit this year, right?
We don't have to.
We're taking a little bit of a different, yeah, I'd like to address that. We're taking a little bit of a different approach on that. Okay, so when the season ended and we took an analysis of what our roads were like at the end of the winter, it was interesting because a lot of those roads that we had slated in anticipation for this year's resurfacing, we took a look at them and we're like, these aren't that bad compared to this spot over here or that spot over there. And it wasn't necessarily one entire road. It was certain sections of road because of, overhanging trees or whatever. So our thoughts were, it looked like we would get more bang for our buck by actually doing a more massive patching program. Because there wasn't any one area that needed an entire road resurfaced. And that's why we changed things around a little bit with the MFT program too, because when utilizing MFT funds, there's certain criteria you have to meet, which can be more costly. So our thoughts were, if we instead use MFT money for something like salt. Salt's a no-brainer. You turn the bill over, you pay it, and there's no engineering or anything related to that. So no offense, Tim, we don't have to pay extra engineering costs. So utilize some MFT money for that purpose and the striping, which is just a direct bill, and instead free up some of our general fund money to do a patching program because it opens the door for some other contractors who will still be paying prevailing wage to bid on it, and maybe they're not necessarily the same people that do MFT programs.
Sure.
So just a little bit of a different approach to it. And my understanding, Kim, I think there's a little bit of MFT that's planned for carryover into next year. So that entire MFT fund isn't going to go towards salt
Sure.
or striping. We're going to carry that over in anticipation of doing a larger road resurfacing program next year.
Okay.
That's what our goal is.
Are we worried that we're gonna get high quotes this year with the gas prices?
Yeah, we're concerned about a lot of different things
Sure.
because, Tim and I even talked a little bit about should we delay this? Should we be more of a
Right.
late season, bidder because they get some of the other stuff by the wayside? And then, of course, the rain has really delayed a lot of these projects, so they've got a lot of work right now. They're not really, sharpening their pencils. So
That's
I don't know.
almost a crystal ball situation. I mean, we could be in worse shape next year than we are this
You
year.
don't. You don't.
No, just
You
to
don't.
do with the weather, gas tax going up, that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
Are they gonna be driving it up a lot?
Right.
All the more reason why we want to try and look at any advantage we can by opening the door to other contractors who might not have been
Sure.
they wouldn't qualify for MFT.
Okay.
It's a good
Thank
point.
you.
A couple years down the road, that Walmart, will pump out.
Yeah, oh, totally.
And,
We really
take
fix
the money
things
back,
up.
yeah.
In the meantime, we just have to think smart, use our money wisely and figure the best approach.
I think we always gotta think that way anyways, especially in public works and road resurfacing, we always gotta think. A lot of discussion about different things, I don't wanna go into it in detail deep tonight, but, as we take on or do more private roads and stuff, maybe we gotta think a little bit differently than we have in the past. I mean, there'll be a long discussion with Tim, but we don't wanna put Tim on the spot tonight, he's tired. He was always in that spot, so.
Also too, if we can get grants or the projects developers coming in or anything else, that's helped too, because obviously when we got Church Street or part of Johnsburg Road done, that was not on the plan originally before we put the pacer system, so we've gotten advantages with that in the past, so maybe there's some ways we
We've
can
been
again.
very fortunate with Johnsburg Road. I
Yeah.
mean, that was, right, Tim, that was like twice, wasn't it?
And we got twice,
Yeah. So.
And I think you guys saw that when they were looking for projects, that if this gas tax results in any capital money going to local communities, we put our projects in, so whether or not we'll get any funding out of that, I don't know.
They give us a lot of notice on that, so. I don't wanna go there.
Right.
Any other questions? Kim, I think you did a great job, Greg. Great job.
Good job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. So, we're going to,
You want to do a motion for approval?
motion to approve the budget right now. Motion by trustee McAvoy, seconded by trustee Frost. Any further discussion on the motion? Trustee Klungsheim?
Aye.
Trustee Frost? Aye. Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Curry?
Aye.
Trustee McAvoy? Trustee Foreman? Motion carried. We're going to go into the president's report, and Kim, if you could come up here a minute. It's,
Okay, un momento.
it's,
Like up.
It's a sad day.
I have been up.
I think everybody heard that Kim is leaving us, and we'd just like to present her a plaque for her 4 years of service on behalf of the residents of the village of Johnsburg in appreciation and recognition of your 4 years of dedicated service to the village, your village accountant, treasurer, and assistant administrator. Thank you. Village President, Tom Curry, Kyle Frost, Beth Foreman, Josh Hagan, Kevin McAvoy, and Mr. Klungsheim.
Thank you.
They're going for the flag.
I know, why is it like,
Come on.
you got these big chairs on. Can you tilt it down just a little bit?
Yeah, there.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bobby's been there.
Okay. So under the President's report, as long as we have Vinnie, and I won't even try to say your last name. But Vinnie will be also assuming the job as Assistant Administrator with Kim Ligon. So There'll be also the clerical assistant and the assistant administrator, and Claudette's absent, so will be handling the operation of the village. I don't know if you know, but as of today, Becky Kijak, did I say that right? Kijak, started. She will be not replacing Kim with all her duties, but she'll be taking care of our village accounting. Okay. Becky was interviewed when we were replacing Debbie, and she was our first choice when we decided to put Vinnie there. So Becky will be started today. She will be our accountant. Okay. And the staff has been busy meeting with staff, Tim and Frank have been meeting with general casualty, okay, on the Bush, or general capital on the Bush School, and that's moving forward. I think everybody saw the sign going out there, so, what, you got?
I said no casual. Nice and smooth.
So, you know, they met with them, and we'll be talking probably shortly about the TIF district that was brought up, okay? We will be hosting McCog at the State Yacht Club on Wednesday, July 24th. So that's the fourth Wednesday of the night. I want everybody to mark their calendars, okay? We'll try to do the boat ride this year, and not cancel it like we did last year, okay? So, the way the rain's coming, it might be hard to do. Thursday night, the Lions Club is sponsoring a raffle at Wade for the fireworks again. So if you guys can make it, try to be there at 7 o'clock. We'd appreciate seeing all your faces. We'd also like to, I have fireworks tickets in case you feel left out and didn't get one. I do have one for anybody here that needs one. Okay, so just see me after the meeting and we'll take care of that. And I think that's all I have under President's report. So, thanks again, Kim, Vinnie. I know you are looking forward to being Keith's boss now. So,
We have to go back to one of the gate.
no, I'm going to do that as a formal motion. Okay. So, I'd like to move to accept the proposal for gate fabrication and installation on River Terrace Drive. Everybody knows what this is about, I think. Kyle certainly does. We've been down there 7 times. Kevin certainly does. It's going to be in steel, powder-coated ornamental gate that we can open up for the fireworks. We will be putting these in other locations, hopefully, so that ambulance fire, if there's a blockage at the bottom of Pittson's Road where they can't get down River Terrace, that they can open up the gate and get fire and police and rescue vehicles in there. Somebody's having a heart attack and the road is blocked.
They usually stage right there.
Pardon me?
Last year, they staged right there.
Right, they did say,
Open and they had.
well, that was for the fireworks.
Right,
But, and we've opened it up several times with the work that we did to bring in the swamp.
Flooding.
Okay, so, the fabrication installation is $5,370. I'd like a motion to accept and approve that.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Frost, seconded by trustee McAvoy. Discussion on the motion. Is anybody unaware of what it is?
Do we, is that a situation where we have to get a homeowner's permission to open that up? That's right, or no?
Well,
That's-
it is private property. The homeowners have agreed. They've always had the gate there.
Right.
So there'll be a post, and there'll be a post for golf carts and ATVs and side-by-sides to get through.
Okay.
Then there'll be a 16-foot double gate.
Right.
And in this instance, there's a post that goes, it's a little bit different than normal, over to the garage, a small section of fence that goes over to the garage, so that people aren't trying to cut next to the garage and banging up the guy's garage and hitting their head on the eave and that type of stuff. And we will probably, I hope in the future, be putting one of these on Sunnyside Beach here at the end, because it's the same situation. If there's an accident on Johnsburg Road and the road's blocked, there's no way to get fire and rescue and people to it. So
Right.
there will be a gate, a locked gate that will only be accessible by police, fire, and rescue personnel. So if they have a reason to get down there or there's flooding, you can open it up and let those people on the peninsula get out when Lewis Lane floods and that type of stuff. Okay. So, we, I think, set a standard. Kyle helped me out a lot, Kevin helped me out. But, we set a standard of something that we thought, because it is, even though the Riverside is people's front yard, you know, their door, when people come to visit them, is on the roadside. So we wanted to do it, right, the back door. So we wanted to do it in something that would be acceptable to any one of our trustees here, too. Okay. So, we have motion, seconded, okay. Do we vote on it? No. Trustee Flemstein? Aye. Trustee Frost? Aye. Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Curry?
Aye.
Trustee McAvoy? Trustee Foreman? Motion carried.
One question, Ed, do we have any idea of when construction will happen?
Yeah, it's about 4 weeks out. We were hoping to get it done before the fireworks and take that out and then put it back in, but we're gonna take it out and do the patching on the road. Okay? Okay. Anybody have anything under new business? We approved the budget. Anybody want to go into committee reports, Tom?
Sure, why not?
Burgers in the Burg.
Yeah. So, hopefully everybody can join us. So the committee's continuing to work on Burgers in the Burg, and got a sample flyer here we're putting together. But, Friday, August 2nd, from 6 to 9, up at the Rescue Squad Park. We're replacing the wine tasting with this. You might remember the committee felt the wine tasting was kind of falling out of favor, and we were having some vendor issues. So, this will be a little bit cheaper. This will be $10 a ticket. Stuckey's is going to come cook burgers, you know, fresh on site, and then you can add your condiments and whatnot. Lions Club will be there serving some beers, and the committee and hopefully maybe a couple trustees will serve some wine and help out. So beer and wine will be available by the glass or a flight. And then
It's adults' night out, right?
it's an adult night out, and it's something for mom and dad and your couples, whoever, to get out without the kids. So we'll be selling tickets for that. Just wrapping this up.
And the committee will be looking for
Yes.
restaurants and bar,
Yeah, yep, so.
I mean, for...
It'll
What
be-
is it, what's the hours, Tom?
What's that?
When does it start?
6 o'clock, so we're playing 6 to 9. The community club will be open for the restrooms. We'll be at the Rescue Squad Park, but the community club will be open for cocktails and the restrooms. Sweet tea, Thompson Duo +1 is sweet tea. I think everybody's seen them around town playing, we like them a lot, so they're gonna be playing again.
We've had them for Christmas parties
Yep.
and stuff.
Yeah, they do a great job. So,
Okay, sounds good.
that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else want to comment on anything? Yes, trustee Clemson.
Real quick, just Kevin's here, we did the appropriations, we passed that in our committee, so that'll probably be coming up sooner than later for you guys to review, so it's moving out.
And, anything else that I didn't remember? I don't think there is. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Second. Motion by trustee McAvoy, second by trustee Foreman. On the roll, trustee Clemstein.
Aye.
Trustee Frost.
Aye.
Trustee Hagan.
Aye.
Trustee Curry.
Aye.
Trustee McAvoy. And trustee Foreman. Motion carried.
Stocks ought to be down like 2 numbers by now.
Yeah. Oh, no.